Hi there, my name is Phila Beck and the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe and ring the little bell so you are notified when new videos drop. So the other day I put out a video talking about Paul Cornell, and I had some pretty harsh criticism for him, saying basically he was a massive hypocrite and terrible Christian, which is bit of a harsh bit of criticism to get from like a very Jewy Jew like me. So, and honestly, that's just the only way I could really quantify his behaviour, which is just absolutely terrifying. But look, Paul, if you're out there, I doubt you're ever going to be out there, but if you're out there who hasn't blocked me yet on Twitter, which I'm quite amazed, which makes me feel kind of inadequate as a human being. But if you're out there and you would like to come on the channel, you have a right reply, I think that would be fair. If you want to send me a video, I'll put it up. Again, I think you should have a right to respond. I doubt you're going to take it up, but, I really should make the offer. And look, you want to come on the channel and have a conversation? That'll be super groovy. I will not do any, gotcha stuff. No, I'd rather have a conversation with you. And basically the question I'm going to ask is, what are you thinking? What the hell were you doing? But yeah, I have some theories on what he was doing. But, I kept all sort of thing reiterating, I think he's a fantastic writer. Because I think he's a fantastic writer, and I think probably being a fantastic writer is probably what caused him to go off a little bit and be a bit morally lacking, I would say. You see, he was one of the main defining voices of an era, the Virgin New Adventures era, the early 90s. And I think he just started believing his own press, and it went to his head. He won, best story or best writer or something in the Doctor Who magazine poll. Yeah, and I think that success in his head translated into him being incredibly important, which of course he isn't. I mean, he was important in the teeny tiny pool of early 90s Doctor Who, which is kind of non-existent. He was important in that, but in a grander scheme of things, not so much. I think another author, Lawrence Miles, had exactly the same complaint as well. Suffered from the same thing. And he's also another fantastic author, although his work is just he's vanished from all from all view. So my guess is, that success and that adulation, because he really is a great writer, gave him this really strong streak of arrogance, which I think is the thing that just has handicapped his career since, because his career has just never matched his talent. There's this quite famous story that when Big Finish were going to start doing Doctor Who audios, they had this big meeting of the fan glitterati writers in this pub somewhere in London, I think, and they announced Nick Briggs will be writing the first story, and there were audible groans of oh, and I think, and one person went up to Briggs afterwards and said, this first story needs to be from a celebrity writer, which gives you an idea of how freaking arrogant this person must have been. A celebrity. Nobody was there as a celebrity. He said there should be a celebrity writer, and darling, that just isn't you. That's what he said. So I've always assumed that was Paul Cornell. It just really sounded like him. It sounded like what I knew of his personality. So that gives you an idea of who he is. And as an aside, I'll say Nick Briggs' career has been way more successful than Cornell's, although, he really should have been drafted in to write a few episodes for the TV show. I think just on the novelty value alone, he's the voice of the Daleks, he's writing it, and he's a great writer, but okay, the stars never aligned for some reason or other. But I generally think that Briggs' career has been better than Cornell's, because Briggs is just, not an insanely arrogant person. You may remember I had a run-in with him about a month or so ago, and I was amazed that he just emailed me and we worked things out. I was like, so I'm very impressed with the quality of character of Nick Briggs. Well, I'm just the opposite is true of Paul Cornell. So we're talking about all this because we had the tweet along on Friday of Human Nature and Family of Blood, which I couldn't take part of because I'm a rabbi and I'm offline Friday night. So I read the book instead because I find the book far superior. Right here. And it's freaking awesome. I'm going to do a review of it for you right now. But before we get there, can I ask you guys, can you hit that subscribe button? Can you hit the like button? Can you hit the share button? All those things are fan-dabby double dozy. Thank you very much for doing that. I would like to show you my really, honestly, genuine appreciation. So go to the video notes. You'll see a few things. Firstly, there is a link that you can download a PDF version of Human Nature, which I'm not sure how kosher that is. I found it online. Yeah, I just can't recommend you going out and buying his book because I think he's been a bit of a douchebag, But I would like you to read the book because it's a very good book. But it used to be as an ebook on the BBC website for free. Again. And I had was it Daryl Joyce did the illustrations for it, did a fresh cover for it. They were just fantastic. So that's the version that I'm gonna link you guys to download. Also, you can win stuff. I give stuff away each week on this channel, and the stuff I'm giving away this week has a bit of a big Finish flavour. There's gonna be 3 winners this week. The first, and you're gonna win either this Big Finish play, The High Price of Parking, starring Sylvester McCoy. Or this is a good one. Peter Davison, two stories. Was it Alien Heart, Dalek Soul, and finally we have another Peter Davison 2-parter. We have Vortex Ice and Cortex Fire. All you need to do to win them is subscribe to the channel. Subscribing being the awfully important bit from my perspective. Subscribe to the channel and then leave the hashtag in the notes. We love stories. We love stories. So leave that hashtag and we'll do the prize draw on Sunday or thereabouts. I'm on the TARDIS zone. Go again in the video notes. I'll have everything written there that you will need to know. And also, there's a free audio story you can download as well, starring Nick Briggs as in the eponymous Nick Briggs as the Doctor. It was a fan-made story from the mid-'80s, and pretty darn good. The group that made them went on to become Big Finish. So there you go. So that's what I. So go ahead, enter, and best of luck to everyone. So I have a theory that the first way you encounter something that has multiple different versions of it is normally the one you just like the best. So, for example, I never saw the English version of Shameless, but I did seek it out after I saw the American version, which I just really loved. So I watched the English version and found it completely unwatchable, which I understand is like heresy saying that to English people, but it's just the way it is. So I experienced the novel first. Again, I experienced the novel first. I just way prefer the novel for many reasons, but I think mainly because of that theory. So the core of the novel is very similar to the TV version, and I think I think for the same reason I'm doing this review, I'm going to doing a review of the Big Finish version of the only version, the Big Finish play Jubilee later in the week. Now Jubilee was later adapted to become Dalek by Rob Sherman. Which we're doing the tweet along on the watch along on Thursday. So it was adapted into the TV show, but it's so incredibly different. It's just so incredibly different. But the novel of Human Nature and the TV episode very similar. It's the same setting, same basic story throughout. But the real difference is it being set around the McCoy Doctor, or McCoy's Doctor being John Smith rather than the David Tennant one. Because David Tennant, regardless of even playing the Doctor or John Smith, which he did really fantastically in the TV show, is always a bit of a dishy bloke. He's a bit of a good-looking bloke. So whereas Sylvester McCoy is older, and so as a consequence, you got a feeling that the romance, which is such an important part of the book, important part of the story, I say, is much sweeter and more endearing. So you get the feeling that this for John Smith and Joan Redfern, this is really their last chance at like romance and love and marriage, which just makes it so much more tragic at the end when it all comes apart. The reasons for the Doctor becoming human as well are also very different, and again highlight how different these two eras of Doctor Who were. In the book, his companion, the redoubtable Professor Bernie Summerfield, is heartbroken after the previous novel, because of the death of her love interest for that one novel alone. Must be kind of one severe love interest. He appeared in a novel, died in a novel, and she's heartbroken. And it, after it, the novel was what's it called Sanctuary by David McKinty, which I've never read, so I have no idea. But so she's heartbroken at the end of that story. So at the beginning of this book, the Doctor wants to try and understand like this whole grieving process, what it is to be human, and so he decides to become human for 3 months. So there's no chameleon arch for him to become human, or for that matter, scarecrows, which I did think were a fantastic addition to the TV version. Rather, the Doctor gets some alien nanites from this alien flea market. I guess that's where you'll pick up alien nanites from a flea market that constantly rewrite his physiology to make him human, and his Time Lordness is stored in a small red ball that looks like a cricket ball. So in the TV version, I love the Family of Blood. I thought those villains were fantastic, and I always wanted character options to release a like a box set of them. Wouldn't that be great? Specifically, really, because I just loved Harry Lloyd's performance as Baines. He's just a fantastic actor. But in the novel, the villains were different. I would say quite a bit cleverer. In the book, the Doctor and John Smith face off against the Orbitines. They are shapeshifters that can take the form of anything that they've eaten, and in a wonderful Doctor Who-ish monster fashion, they just gobble them up in one gulp, which I thought was so much fun. Well, not for the people being gobbled up. So the Orbitines, they reproduce asexually, budding 5 times. So in a family of Orbitines, you have six people, and what they're after is the Doctor's ability, or the Time Lord's ability, to regenerate. For goodness sake, I hope none of them watch the Timeless Children, because that's going to send them off in a strange direction. But they're after the ability to regenerate. So each 6 of them would have 12 lives. So 12 times 6 is, 72? Yeah. 12, 24, 36. 72. And then each one of those 72 people could bud 5 times. So that brings up to 310, I think. So yeah, so as opposed to 6, you have 310. And each one of those 310, they also can have 5. They bud 5 times as well. So just by and they create 310s as well. So just in a very short space of time, by a weight of numbers, you would have a force big enough that could really destroy and take on Gallifrey. Which is a possible future we see at one point in the book. Again, the James Joyce illustrations for the Darryl Joyce illustrations are frickin' fantastic. There's this great scene where the Orbitines want to keep everybody like trapped in the village, and they go through like different barriers they can use. They maybe they use a heat barrier, which is a callback to the demons, the John Pertwee story. And then you go for a fear barrier, which was mentioned in Mark Gatiss's book like a year or so earlier. Nightshade, great book by the way. Before they settle on the time shield, which is which gives like a tiny thin layer of time, which is just out of sync, making it an impenetrable barrier to pass through, unless you're like a time sensitive. So when Timothy Dean, the version of the boy who gets infected with the Doctor's Time Lordness, leads John Smith through this time barrier, they get a glimpse of that possible future with Gallifrey being destroyed and Romana being executed on the steps of the Penobscon. It's really good. It's actually a really, really good book. It's a really good Doctor Who book. So I really recommend it. Look, guys, if you're looking for something to read, check out the video notes, or you could go crazy and just buy a copy. They reprinted it. Was it in about a few years back? I think there's also a book on tape with Lisa Barrowman narrating it throughout. So yeah, listen, the book is a strong recommend. It's actually one of the best and most classic Doctor Who stories is from either era, from the David Tennant era or the Virgin Sylvester McCoy era. It's a real classic story. It's really, really worth you checking out. Strong recommend from me. My name is Phila Becken, the Rabbi from Another Planet. Please like, share, subscribe, and ring the little bell so you are notified when new videos drop.